The Galactic Council Chamber was the largest room Ambassador Lisa Monroe had ever seen. It stretched upward for nearly a mile, with seats carved into the walls like a massive stadium. Representatives from over 300 species filled those seats, their bodies ranging from small insect-like creatures to massive beings that looked like living mountains. Lisa stood at the small platform reserved for minor species. Humanity had been part of the council for 80 years now, but they were still treated like children at an adult table. The elder races had been traveling between stars for millions of years. To them, humans were barely more than clever animals who had recently learned to build rockets. She waited patiently as the council leader, a tall being made of blue crystal called a Vendari, finished speaking about trade agreements. Finally, the crystal being turned its attention to her. "The representative from Earth may speak," the council leader said. Lisa stepped forward. Her voice was calm and clear. "Thank you, council leader. I am here to discuss the Vorthani Empire and their recent expansion toward our colony systems." A low rumble of laughter came from one section of the chamber. Lisa looked up to see High Commander Vrex, the Vorthani representative, leaning forward in his seat. He was a reptilian creature, 8 feet tall with scales the color of dried blood. His yellow eyes watched her with open amusement. "The human wishes to complain," Vrex said, his voice dripping with mockery. "How precious." Lisa ignored him and continued. "In the past 6 months, Vorthani warships have entered the neutral zone 17 times. They have scanned our colony worlds. They have made threatening statements to our civilian vessels. We have tried diplomatic channels, but we received no response." The council leader made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "The Vorthani claim these are routine patrols. They have assured us they mean no harm to your colonies." "Their assurances mean nothing," Lisa said. "We have intelligence suggesting they plan to expand into the sector where New Haven Colony is located. That colony has over 2 million human civilians, farmers, teachers, children." Rex stood up, his massive form casting a shadow across the chamber. "Your intelligence is wrong, little human. But even if it were true, what would you do about it? Your species has been spacefaring for less than 400 years. You have a few hundred warships. We have tens of thousands." Several other representatives laughed. The sound echoed through the massive chamber. Lisa felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her voice steady. "I am formally requesting that the council intervene. Send peacekeeping forces to the neutral zone. Establish clear boundaries that the Vorthani cannot cross." The council leader was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke. "The council does not wish to interfere in what appears to be a minor territorial dispute. We recommend that Earth continue diplomatic efforts with the Vorthani Empire." Lisa closed her eyes briefly. She had expected this, but it still hurt to hear. These ancient beings with their ancient wisdom were going to do nothing while a predator circled her people. "I understand," she said quietly. Then she looked up at Vrex, and something in her eyes made the massive reptile stop smiling. "But I want the council to record something. I want every species here to remember what I am about to say." The chamber grew quiet. "Humanity is a young species," Lisa said. "We know this. We came late to the stars. We do not have the numbers or the technology that elder races possess. But we have something else. We have memory. We have patience. And we have a promise that we made to ourselves long ago, written in the blood of our own history." She paused, looking around the chamber at the hundreds of alien faces watching her. "We do not forget," she continued. "We do not forgive attacks on our children. If any species harms our civilians, we will respond. Not with words, not with complaints to this council. We will respond with everything we have, and we will not stop until the debt is paid in full." Rex laughed loudly. "Threats from insects? How amusing. Lisa turned to face him directly. "It is not a threat, High Commander. It is a promise. I hope you never have to learn the difference." She gathered her documents and walked toward the exit. Behind her, she could hear the council moving on to other business, already forgetting her words. Let them forget, she thought. Humanity would remember. On the bridge of the Earth vessel Relentless, Captain Jake Harrison watched the transmission from the council meeting. His face showed no expression as he saw the alien representatives laughing at his ambassador. Beside him, Commander Amy Chun stood with her arms crossed, her eyes hard. "They're not going to help us," Amy said. "No," Jake agreed. "They are not." The Relentless was one of Earth's newest warships, sleek and fast, carrying weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Jake had commanded her for 3 years, patrolling the borders of human space, watching and waiting for trouble that everyone hoped would never come. His communication panel lit up. A message from Admiral Ben Cooper, head of Earth's United Defense Fleet. Jake opened the channel. The Admiral's weathered face appeared on screen. He was an old man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war during the early colonial rebellions. "Captain Harrison," the Admiral said, "you saw the council meeting." "I did, sir. I am ordering the Relentless and 12 other vessels to patrol the New Haven sector. Increased presence. Maximum alert status." Jake nodded. "Understood, Admiral." "Rules of engagement?" The Admiral was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy. "If the Vothani enter our space with hostile intent, you are authorized to defend yourself and any civilian populations. But Jake, try not to start a war we might not be able to finish. And if they start one, sir?" Admiral Cooper looked at him with those tired, knowing eyes. "Then we finish it. Whatever it takes." The channel closed. Jake turned to Amy. "Set course for New Haven," he said. "Best speed." "Yes, Captain." As the Relentless turned toward the distant colony, Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vothani were making plans. They believed humans were weak. They believed humans would complain and cry and do nothing when pushed. Jake hoped they were right to think that. He hoped this was all just politics and posturing. But deep in his gut, he felt a cold certainty that something terrible was coming. And when it did, humanity would have to decide what kind of species they truly were. The stars offered no answers. They simply watched, ancient and silent, as the small human ship raced toward its destiny. New Haven Colony was beautiful in the morning light. The planet Verdun 4 had 2 suns, and when they both rose together, the sky turned a soft purple that made everything look like a dream. Children ran through the wheat fields, laughing as they chased each other between the golden stalks. Farmers drove their machines across endless acres of crops that would feed dozens of human worlds. Governor Sam Taylor stood on the balcony of the administration building, drinking his coffee and watching the peaceful scene below. He had been a teacher before he became a politician, and sometimes he missed the simple days of standing in front of a classroom. But leading New Haven Colony had its own rewards. He had helped build something good here, something worth protecting. His assistant knocked on the door. "Governor, Dr. Kate Miller is here for your morning meeting." Sam smiled. Kate was the chief medical officer at New Haven Central Hospital and one of his closest friends. She walked in with her usual energy, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. "Sam, I need more funding for the children's wing," she said without any greeting. That was Kate, always straight to the point. "Good morning to you too," Sam laughed. "Good morning. Now, about that funding." They were still discussing the hospital budget when the first alarm sounded. Danny West was 23 years old and the youngest communications officer in New Haven's small defense station. He had taken the job because it was supposed to be quiet. Nothing ever happened in New Haven. It was a farming colony, far from any conflict zones. When his screen lit up with emergency signals, he thought it was a mistake. "Sir," he said to his supervisor, "I am detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. Large signatures. Very large." His supervisor walked over and looked at the screen. His face went pale. "That is not possible," the older man whispered. "That is a full battle fleet." Danny watched as ship after ship emerged from hyperspace. Vorthani warships, their dark hulls blocking out the stars. He counted 20. Then 50. Then he stopped counting because there were too many. A transmission came through. A reptilian face filled the screen. "High Commander Vrex." "Attention, human colony," Vrex said. "This planet now belongs to the Vorthani Empire. You have 15 minutes to surrender all government officials and military personnel. Resistance will result in immediate execution of the entire population." Danny's hands were shaking. "Sir, what do we do?" Governor Sam Taylor's voice came over the emergency channel. He sounded calm, but Danny could hear the fear underneath. "This is Governor Sam Taylor of New Haven Colony. We are a civilian agricultural settlement. We have no military forces. There are over 2 million innocent people here, including children. Please, we can discuss this peacefully." Rex smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. 50 minutes, human. Starting now." The next 14 minutes were chaos. Danny watched on his screens as colonists tried to reach emergency shelters. Parents grabbed their children and ran. Teachers led students into basements. But there was nowhere to run. The Vorthani fleet surrounded the entire planet. Governor Taylor kept trying to negotiate. "Please," he begged. "These are civilians, farmers. They have done nothing to you." Rex did not respond. At the hospital, Dr. Kate Miller was moving patients into the basement as fast as she could. She carried a small girl in her arms, a child named Emma, who had been in the hospital for minor surgery. "It is going to be okay," Kate whispered to the crying girl. "I will keep you safe." The 15 minutes ended. The first orbital bombardment hit the agricultural district. Danny watched through tears as the wheat fields he had seen every morning turned into craters of fire and ash. The second strike hit the residential areas. Homes that families had built with their own hands were gone in seconds. Governor Taylor's final transmission went out to anyone who could hear it. "This is New Haven Colony. We are under attack. Vorthani forces are killing civilians. Please, someone help us. Please." Then his channel went silent. The bombardment continued for 2 hours. When it finally stopped, Vorthani ground troops landed in the ruins. Danny hid inside a maintenance tunnel, his personal recording device capturing everything he could see through a small grate. He saw Vorthani soldiers walking through the streets, shooting anyone they found alive. He saw them drag people from the rubble and execute them in rows. He heard screams that would haunt him for the rest of his life. At the hospital, the basement door exploded inward. Kate Miller stood in front of the children, her arms spread wide, trying to shield them with her own body. "Please," she said to the Vorthani soldiers. "They are just children." The soldiers did not hesitate. Danny stayed hidden for 6 hours. 6 hours of listening to his world die around him. When the Vorthani finally left to continue their sweep of other areas, he crawled out of his tunnel and made his way to the emergency hangar. One shuttle remained, damaged but functional. Danny climbed inside, started the engines, and flew straight up through the smoke-filled sky. He expected to die. He expected the Vorthani ships to shoot him down before he reached orbit, but they did not notice one small shuttle among the burning debris. Danny escaped into hyperspace, his recording device clutched in his shaking hands. 3 days later, the Relentless found him drifting in open space, his shuttle's fuel exhausted. His body dehydrated and broken. Captain Jake Harrison brought Danny to the medical bay personally. He sat with the young man as the doctors treated him, waiting patiently for him to be able to speak. "I have a recording," Danny whispered. "Everything. I recorded everything." Jake took the device. He went to his quarters alone and watched the footage from beginning to end. He saw the bombardment. He saw the executions. He saw the children in the hospital basement. He saw a woman with dark hair standing in front of them, trying to protect them until the very end. Jake stared at that woman's face for a long time. He knew that face. He had grown up with that face. Kate Miller, his sister. When the recording ended, Jake sat in silence for nearly an hour. Then he walked to the bridge, his face empty of all expression. "Open a channel to Earth Command," he said. "Priority 1. Admiral Cooper's eyes only." Amy looked at him with concern. "Captain, what happened at New Haven?" Jake transmitted Danny's recording with a single message attached. "New Haven has fallen. They killed everyone. 2.1 million human beings. Gone in 6 hours. And now, across the stars, humanity would learn what their children had really been made of." The recording from New Haven played on every screen on Earth. It played in homes and offices, in schools and hospitals, in government buildings and military bases. Billions of humans watched in silence as their colony burned. They saw the bodies in the streets. They heard the screams. They watched Dr. Kate Miller die, protecting children who died seconds after her. When the recording ended, there was no panic. There were no riots. Something else happened instead. Something the galaxy had never seen before. Humanity went quiet. President Chris Palmer stood in the Emergency Command Center beneath the White House, surrounded by military leaders and advisors. He was a tall man with graying hair and kind eyes that had turned cold in the past 24 hours. He had not slept since the recording arrived. He had not eaten. He had simply watched and planned and made decisions that would change history. "How many survivors?" he asked. Admiral Ben Cooper answered. "We have confirmed 47 survivors who escaped on various shuttles." Total colony population was 2.3 million. The Vorthani killed 2.1 million people in approximately 6 hours. The room was silent. "They targeted hospitals," General Laura Bennett added. Her voice was steady, but her hands were clenched into fists. "They killed patients in their beds. They killed doctors and nurses. They killed children in the pediatric wing." President Palmer closed his eyes. "Do we have confirmation that the Galactic Council has been informed?" "Yes, sir. They have expressed concern and called for an investigation." "An investigation." Palmer repeated the words like they tasted bitter. 2 million of our people are dead, and they want to investigate." Ambassador Lisa Monroe appeared on screen from her transport ship, already halfway back to Earth. "Mr. President, I warned them. I told them exactly what would happen if anyone hurt our civilians. They laughed. They called us insects." Palmer nodded slowly. "Then we will teach them what insects can do." He turned to face his military commanders. "Activate Protocol Omega." Admiral Cooper's eyes widened. "Sir, Protocol Omega is meant for extinction-level threats. It will reveal capabilities we have hidden for decades. I am aware of what it will reveal." Palmer walked to the large display screen showing a map of human space. New Haven's location was marked in red, like a wound on the map. "The Vorthani believe we are weak because we have shown them our merchant ships and our small patrol fleets. They do not know what we have been building in the deep stations. It is time they learned." General Bennett smiled grimly. "I will begin mobilizing ground forces immediately." "How many do you want?" "All of them." Across human space, things began to move. In the asteroid belts beyond Mars, massive doors that had been sealed for 30 years slid open. Ships emerged from hidden shipyards, warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were fast and heavily armed, built not for patrol or defense, but for one purpose only: total war. On Earth's moon, Dr. Nick Santos watched as his team activated weapon systems that had existed only in classified files. Energy weapons that could crack a planet's crust. Missiles that could bypass any known shield technology. Devices that bent the laws of physics in ways the elder races thought impossible. "Are you sure about this?" his assistant asked. "Once the galaxy sees what we can do, everything changes." Nick thought about the recording. He thought about the children in that hospital basement. "Everything has already changed," he said. The hidden fleet scattered. 4,000 warships emerged from secret bases scattered across human space. They were crewed by soldiers who had trained their entire lives for a war they hoped would never come. Now that hope was dead and something else had taken its place. On Earth, 50 million soldiers reported for duty. They came from every nation, every background, every walk of life. They came not because they were ordered to, but because they had seen what happened to New Haven. They had seen their brothers and sisters murdered. And every single one of them wanted to deliver the response. Admiral Cooper stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeance, watching the massive fleet assemble around him. He had fought in 3 wars during his long career. He had seen death and destruction on scales that would break most people. But he had never seen anything like this. Captain Jake Harrison's face appeared on his screen. The young captain's eyes were empty of everything except cold determination. "Captain Harrison," Cooper said, "I have reviewed your personnel file. Dr. Kate Miller was your sister." "Yes, Admiral." "I am sorry for your loss, but I need to know that you can command effectively. This mission requires clear heads, not vengeance." Jake was silent for a moment. "Admiral, I am not angry. I passed through anger 2 days ago. What I feel now is something else. Something quieter. I will follow orders. I will lead my ship. And when the time comes, I will do what needs to be done with perfect clarity." Cooper studied the young man's face and saw the truth there. Jake Harrison was not burning with rage. He was cold. He was focused. He was exactly what they needed. "Then prepare your ship, Captain. We depart in 6 hours." The fleet moved out in perfect formation. 4,000 warships, carrying hundreds of thousands of soldiers and weapons that could end civilizations. They traveled in complete radio silence, giving no warning, broadcasting no threats. Ambassador Lisa Monroe sent one final message to the Galactic Council before she returned to Earth. "You had a chance to prevent this. You chose to do nothing. Now watch what humanity does when you hurt our children. Remember this day. Remember what you could have stopped. And know that we will never forgive and we will never forget." The message ended. Across the galaxy, other species watched the human fleet depart. Many of them had laughed at humanity for decades. They had called humans primitive, weak, unimportant. Now, watching those 4,000 warships move through space with terrible purpose, they began to understand how wrong they had been. The Vorthani Empire had poked what they thought was a small, harmless creature. They were about to discover that they had awakened something ancient and terrible, something written into human genes through millions of years of survival. They had awakened the predator. The Galactic Council chamber was silent when Ambassador Lisa Monroe walked in. 3 months had passed since the war ended. 3 months since humanity had dismantled the Vorthani military in less than 3 weeks. 3 months since the galaxy learned what humans were really capable of. Lisa walked slowly to the platform reserved for Earth's representative. She noticed that the platform had been moved. It was no longer in the back with the other minor species. It was now at the center of the chamber, where the elder races sat. She said nothing about the change. She simply took her seat and waited. The council leader, the crystalline Vendari, who had dismissed her warnings all those months ago, spoke first. The council formally recognizes Ambassador Lisa, Monroe of Earth. We wish to express our deepest condolences for the tragedy at New Haven Colony. We also wish to formally condemn the Vorthani Empire for their unprovoked attack on civilian populations. Lisa looked at the council leader for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, but carried through the entire chamber. Your condolences come too late. Your condemnation means nothing to the dead. The chamber remained silent. No one dared to speak. 2.1 million human beings died because this council chose to do nothing, Lisa continued. I stood on this very platform and warned you. I told you exactly what would happen if anyone harmed our civilians. You laughed. Your representative called us insects. She gestured to the empty section where the Vorthani delegation had once sat. They are not laughing now. The council leader made a strange sound that might have been discomfort. We acknowledge that the council failed to act appropriately. We wish to discuss how we can move forward together. Lisa pulled out a document and placed it on her podium. Earth has terms for continued membership in this council. These terms are not negotiable. She read them aloud. First, any attack on human civilians will be met with total military response. We will not wait for council approval. We will not ask for permission. We will simply respond. Several representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Second, Earth will maintain its full military strength indefinitely. We will never again pretend to be weaker than we are. Any species that wishes to know the size of our fleet may ask, and we will tell them honestly. Third, humanity will have a permanent seat on the Council Security Committee. Our voice will be heard in all matters of galactic defense and peacekeeping. The council leader processed these demands. These terms are significant. Some members may object. They're welcome to object. They are also welcome to remember what happened to the last species that underestimated us. No one objected. The Dravari ambassador rose to speak. The Dravari were among the oldest species in the galaxy, ancient beings of light and energy who had watched civilizations rise and fall for millions of years. When they spoke, everyone listened. We have studied thousands of species across millions of years, the Dravari said. We have seen empires that conquered through fear. We have seen alliances that formed through mutual benefit. We have seen species that destroyed themselves through war and hatred. The glowing being turned toward Lisa. But we have never encountered anything like humans. You did not fight the Vorthani with rage. You fought with patience, precision, and absolute commitment. Your technology surprised us, yes. Your tactics impressed us. But that is not what makes humanity remarkable. What makes humanity remarkable, the Dravari continued, is what you did not do. You could have destroyed the Vorthani completely. You could have burned their cities and killed their civilians. You could have made them suffer the way they made you suffer. But you chose not to. That restraint is more terrifying than any weapon. It shows us that humanity understands power in a way that few species ever learn. You know when to use it and when to hold back. That is the mark of a truly advanced civilization. The chamber was completely silent. Lisa nodded slowly at the Dravari. Thank you for your words. But I want to be clear about something. We did not show restraint because we are good. We showed restraint because we are better than them. And we will always be better than them, no matter what they do to us. The Council unanimously accepted Earth's terms. Humanity's place in the galaxy was forever changed. On Earth, 1 month later, Captain Jake Harrison stood before a wall of names. The New Haven Memorial had been built in Washington, D.C., in a park that overlooked the Potomac River. It was a simple wall, black granite, stretching for nearly a mile. Every name of every person who died at New Haven was carved into that stone. 2.1 million names. It would take someone weeks to read them all. Jake had visited 4 times already. Each time, he came alone. Each time, he stood in the same spot. He reached out and touched one name. The letters were small, like all the others, but to him they were everything. Kate Miller, his sister, his best friend, the person who had taught him to ride a bike, who had helped him with his homework, who had called him every week even after he joined the military, the person who had given up a comfortable life on Earth to help sick people on a distant colony, the person who had died standing in front of children she barely knew, trying to protect them with her own body. "We kept our promise, Katie," Jake whispered. "We made them pay. Every single one of them." He stood there for a long time, his hand on her name, remembering her laugh and her smile and the way she always believed the best in people. "They will never forget what happens when they hurt us," he said. "None of them will ever forget." Across the galaxy, Jake's words proved true. Species that had considered attacking human colonies quietly changed their plans. Empires that dismissed humanity as unimportant suddenly wanted trade agreements and alliances. Politicians who had laughed at human ambassadors now treated them with careful respect. Humanity had not wanted this. They had wanted to farm their colonies and raise their children and live in peace. But the galaxy had forced them to show what they truly were, and what they truly were had changed everything. In the end, the Galactic Council learned the lesson that humanity had tried to teach them from the beginning. Some species are dangerous because they are aggressive. Some species are dangerous because they are powerful. But the most dangerous species of all are the ones who are peaceful until you give them a reason not to be. Humanity was that species. And now, everyone knew it. The first Vorthani outpost fell in 47 minutes. Commander Grath had been stationed at Outpost 7 for 15 years. It was a boring assignment, watching over a minor trade route far from any real action. When his sensors detected the approaching human fleet, he actually laughed. "How many ships?" he asked his crew. 4,000, Commander." Grath stopped laughing. That could not be right. Human space only had a few hundred patrol vessels. His intelligence report said so. Every report for the past 80 years said so. Scan again. "I have scanned 3 times, Commander. 4,000 warships. They are heading directly for us." Grath opened a channel to the approaching fleet. "Human vessels, you are entering Vorthani territory. Turn back immediately or face destruction. We have 500 ships at this outpost. You cannot win." The response came from Admiral Ben Cooper. His voice was calm, almost bored. "We are not here to win, Commander. We are here to collect the debt. You have exactly 60 seconds to evacuate your civilian personnel to the planet's surface. You dare threaten us?" Grath snarled. "We are the Vorthani Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. 50 seconds. Grath cut the channel and ordered his fleet to attack. 500 Vorthani warships surged forward, confident in their superior numbers and firepower. They never had a chance. The human weapons were unlike anything Grath had ever seen. Energy beams that cut through Vorthani shields like they were made of paper. Missiles that seemed to disappear and reappear inside his ships. Fighters so fast that his targeting systems could not track them. In 47 minutes, every Vorthani warship was destroyed. Not one human vessel was lost. Grath survived long enough to transmit a warning to the homeworld. "They are coming. Prepare everything. They are coming." Then his ship exploded, and he said nothing more. The human fleet moved through Vorthani space like a wave of destruction. They hit every military outpost, every weapons factory, every shipyard. They destroyed over 8,000 Vorthani warships in the first week alone, but they did not touch civilian targets. Captain Jake Harrison led the assault on the Varthani Third Fleet, their largest military formation outside of the homeworld. 2,000 Vorthani warships faced his task force of 600 human vessels. The Vorthani commander broadcast a message before the battle. Humans, you cannot defeat us. Surrender now, and we will grant you a quick death. Jake did not respond with words. He simply ordered the attack. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, 2,000 Vorthani warships had been reduced to floating debris. Jake's task force lost 12 ships and 200 soldiers. Every human casualty was recorded. Every name was remembered. As his ships moved through the wreckage, Jake's sensors detected an escape pod. He had it brought aboard and opened personally. Inside was High Commander Rex, the massive reptilian who had laughed at humanity in the council chambers, now cowered in the small metal pod. His scales had turned pale with fear. His yellow eyes were wide and desperate. "Please," Rex begged. "I was following orders. The Emperor commanded the attack on New Haven. I was just a soldier." Jake looked at him with those cold, empty eyes. "You were there. You gave the order to continue firing on civilians. You smiled while children died. I will give you information. I will tell you everything about our defenses. Just spare my life." Jake had him placed in a holding cell. Rex would face trial. That was how humans did things. Even monsters deserved a trial before their execution. The fleet reached Vorthax Prime on the 19th day. The Vorthani homeworld was a massive planet, twice the size of Earth, covered in cities and military bases. 20,000 warships formed a defensive ring around it. The Emperor himself broadcast a message to the approaching humans. "You have made your point," the Emperor said. "We offer terms. We will pay reparations. We will withdraw from the neutral zones. Just leave our world in peace." Admiral Cooper's response was broadcast on every frequency. "You killed 2.1 million innocent people. Farmers, teachers, children. You did not offer them terms. You did not offer them peace. You just killed them. What do you want?" The Emperor demanded. "We want your complete military surrender. Every warship destroyed or handed over. Every weapons factory dismantled. Every soldier disarmed. Your ability to wage war ends today. That would leave us defenseless." "Yes, it would. And if we refuse?" Cooper's voice hardened. "Then we will destroy your military ourselves. Every ship. Every base. Every weapon. And we will keep destroying until there is nothing left to destroy. This is not a negotiation. This is your only chance to end this without more death." The Emperor refused. The battle for Vorthax Prime lasted 8 hours. 20,000 Vorthani warships fought with desperate courage, defending their homeworld with everything they had. But it was not enough. Human technology was too advanced. Human tactics were too effective. Human determination was too strong. When the last Vorthani warship fell silent, General Lara Bennett led the ground invasion. 50 million human soldiers landed across the planet, systematically dismantling every military installation. They did not kill civilians. They did not burn cities. They simply took away every weapon, every vehicle, every piece of military equipment they could find. The Vorthani Emperor signed the surrender document in his own throne room, surrounded by human soldiers. His hands shook as he wrote his name. His eyes were filled with disbelief. "How?" he whispered. "We were the greatest military power in this sector. How did you defeat us so easily?" General Bennett answered him. "You thought we were weak because we were peaceful. You thought we were harmless because we chose not to show you our strength. That was your mistake. Humans are not peaceful by nature. We are peaceful by choice. And when you hurt our children, we choose something else." The war was over. 19 days from start to finish. Earth's losses, 847 soldiers killed. Their names were carved into memorials across human space, remembered forever as heroes who delivered justice for the fallen. Vulthani losses: 12 million soldiers killed. Their entire military destroyed. Their empire reduced from a galactic power to a disarmed state, dependent on other species for protection. And across the galaxy, every other species watched and learned a lesson they would never forget. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had simply been waiting.